Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Life Leo. In today's video, we are going to discuss about features of Python and also the differences among compiler as well as interpreter. First of all, what are the features of Python? Python provides many useful features which make it popular and valuable from other programming languages. So this Python is having the various features other than the normal programming languages such as C or C++ or Java, other things. Some of the essential and important features are: first one, it is simple, easy to learn, versatile, free and open source, high level language, interactive, portable, object oriented, interpreted, dynamic, extensible, embeddable, extensive, easy maintenance, secure, robust, multi-threaded, garbage collection. So these 18 are the most important features of Python. Let us look into each and everything briefly. Now first one, simple. The feature simple in Python means any program which was written in the Python, it will be as simple as reading the normal English language. So any program which we write in the Python will be as same as the English language. That's why it is called as the simple. Second one, easy to learn. Just now we said that Python is simple. That means it is very easy for the reading purpose as same as like the English. That means it is very easy to learn because it consists of only few keywords and they are of the clearly defined syntax. So this language is easy to learn. Third one, versatile. That is, Python doesn't belong to any respective application. In the previous video, I will provide our previous video in the iCard. So in the previous video we have discussed about the various applications of the Python. That is, Python doesn't confine anything for the one broad area. This Python supports from the development of a web application to the higher open computer vision applications. That means it supports in every area of the business or any other domains. Next, Python is a free and open source. That means Python can freely distribute it. What does it mean? That means the Python's code is available for the users to edit it. Even they can use that code for writing the new programs. High level language. What does this high level language mean? Basically, computer understands only the language of ones and zeros. But this is as simple as English. That means the person or the user who is writing the program no need to worry about the managing memory techniques or basic the minute details of the programming. Simply they can write the logic and they can enjoy the concept. Interactive. Programs in Python work in an interactive mode. That means it allows in the interactive testing as well as debugging of pieces of code. Portable. Why Python is a portable language? Because if you have written the code in the Windows, then the same code can, if you copy it to the Linux operating system, then it is going to perform the same operation. It is not going to change. That means it is simply, you can call it as a portable language where its performance doesn't affect on the hardware differences. It is going to work as same as the all the platforms. Object oriented. So the main and important feature of the Python is Python not only supports the normal structure orientation, but also it supports the object oriented. Here, why I said the structure oriented means basically most of the programming languages follow a procedure oriented style, but this Python supports procedure oriented as well as structure oriented also. Interpreted. So Python is processed at runtime by interpreter, not by the compiler. That means instead of compiling the entire program at a once, here we are going to interpret each and every statement once. That is going to be learned in the next topic. Dynamic. Python is a dynamic type of language. For example, in a C program, if I want to store 10 in X, then I have to declare the X as a data type of integer, int X. Then I can store the 10 in X. But here Python, there is no need of writing any types because it is a dynamically typed language. That means automatically the variable is decided at the runtime, not in advance. Extensible. So if you have written any code or if you have written any program in the Python, that can be extended with the other things, such as anyone, they can have the low level modules to the Python interpreter. Embeddable. So here program which the person written in the Python, that can be embedded into the C language or C++, COM, ActiveX, Corba or Java programs to give the scripting capabilities. And the most important one is the Python's extensive libraries. That is, in the previous video, that is, we have learned that Python supports various libraries for various things such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, education, Descript.js, like this. Like that, Python supports the vast range of libraries. No other programming language have those much of libraries which are available in the Python. So this Python not only supports the machine learning, it supports the web development, and also it have the various scripting libraries also. One of the famous framework of the Python is the Django framework, which is for the Python web development. Maintenance. So the code written in Python is very easy to maintain. Security. So the Python language environment is the most secure from tampering because it performs additional security checks. Robustness. So Python programmers cannot manipulate their memory directly. Moreover, if any errors are raised as exceptions, they can be caught and can be handled by the program code. Multi-threading. So Python supports the multi-threading. That means which we can execute more than one process of a program simultaneously. That means it allows the programmers to perform process management tasks also. Garbage collection. The most important feature of the Python is the garbage collection. What does this garbage collection mean? The garbage collection means Python deletes unwanted objects automatically. Why it is deleting the unwanted objects automatically? Because whenever the memory is occupying by the unwanted objects, then whenever the memory is needed, there is no space to the allocation. That's why the Python, what it does means it is going to automatically delete the unwanted objects. So this means the unwanted objects will be removed from the memory and that allocated empty memory will be allocated for the new objects. So this is one of the best feature in the Python, that is called as the garbage collection. Now, what is Python? We have seen that different features of Python, different applications of Python. From these, if we say that Python is an interpreted, object-oriented, high-level programming language with dynamic semantics. Now, what is interpreted? We said that in the previous one, interpreted. Now, interpreted or interpreter means which is going to perform line by line or statement by statement verification. Now, before going to that, just we can go through the compiler versus interpreter. Before going to know about the interpreter and what is compiler, first of all look at the compiler, how the compiler is going to work. So let us assume that the programming languages which support the compilers are the C, C++, C#, etc. So if you have the program which was written in the C, C++, C#, that is source code, then when you have written the code, what we are going to do? We are going to compile our source code. That is, the high level language which we have used for writing the source code have to be converted to the machine level language. For that thing, we are clicking or we are performing the compilation. Now, it reaches to the compiler. What does the compiler do? Compiler checks for the errors in the entire program. That is, each and every error will be taken into a particular memory, and it is going to store all the errors at once. Now, if any errors are there, just now I said that each and every error will be taken into consideration and kept at one place. Now, if any errors are there, then all the errors will be displayed. Then the display is nothing but what we have to do, we have to edit the source code, and again what we have to do, we have to compile our program. Then compiler have to check for errors in the entire program. If any errors are there, again the editor will display the error. Then what we have to do, we have to edit the source code. Now let us assume that if there are no errors in our program, that means source code has been successfully compiled. So then what it is going to do? Simple. The high level language code is converted into the machine level language code. Now, when we run that machine level language code, then we are going to get the output. This is the working of the compiler. Now, if you observe the same thing in the interpreter, what does the interpreter do? Now, let us assume that the code which we have written in the interpreted languages, one of them is the Python. Not only the Python, PHP, Perl, etc. supports the interpreted languages. So the code which we have written in the Python, that is the source code, first what we will do is we will run the program directly instead of the compilation, because the compiler will compile the program and checks whether any errors are there or not at once. But when we run the program of the interpreted language, then what it is going to do is it reaches to the interpreter. What does this interpreter will do? Interpreter will checks for the error in line 1. Because I said that Python is an interpreted language which is going to check or which is going to execute one line after another and one statement after another statement. Now it checks for the error in line 1. If the error is there in line 1, then automatically it is going to display the error. That is, the execution will be stopped and it will display the error. What we will do when we get an error? Then automatically we have to edit our source code. And again we have to run our program. Like this, if the first line is completed, then it will move to it will create the executable code. Now, like this, if it checks for the next line, that is line 2, if any errors are there in the line, then again it will display the errors. If any errors are there in the line, then it will display the errors. Then again we have to edit the source code. Again we have to run. Then executable code for the second line. Like that it will repeat for until all the errors have been removed from the program. After all the programs all the errors have been removed from the program, then it will provide you the output directly. This is the process of the interpreter. Next, let's discuss the differences among the interpreter and compiler. First, interpreter, I said right now, interpreter translates the program, but it translates the program one statement at a time. It translates the statement translate the program one statement at a time. That is, whenever any error occurs in the first line, it stops the execution, it gives the error. Like this, it will continue to the ending of the program. But the compiler scans the entire program, and if any errors are there, it is going to take a note of that and it will display at the ending. Now, interpreter usually takes less amount of time to analyze the source code, because it is going to take it is going to take only one line at a time, but the compilers are going to check each and every line at once, and then it is going to take note of the errors at the one place. That's why it takes a large amount for analyzing. So compilers take the large time to analyze the source code. However, interpreters will be slow in execution because the first one have to be verified, the second one have to be verified, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. Like this, no error should be there in the interpreter. But in the compiler, if you rectify all the errors at a time, then it will provide the fastest execution. That is, while compared to the interpreter, compiler is faster in execution, but the analysis purpose, the interpreters are the fast in terms of the analysis. Now, in interpreter, there is no concept of object code. That is, it doesn't create any object code files. So, but in compiler will generate the object code. That means after the object code has been generated, then it should be linked to our memory. It should be linked using the linker. Now, interpreter, we are repeatedly saying that interpreter will translate one statement at a time. That means error will be displayed for every instruction if any errors are there. In compiler will display after the entire program is checked. Now, what are the different programming languages supported by this interpreter? So, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, etc. languages, PHP support this interpreter. Now, what is the compiler supports? C, C++, Java, etc. uses the compilers. So, in this video, you have learnt about the different features of Python. What is Python? What are the differences between the compiler and interpreter? Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel Life Leo. Thank you everyone.